when you're younger, you get a bit older, you realise, you think, life wasn't so great for me in the early years, and there's a little bit of a time where you sort of have a little bit of resentment and anger towards that. But as I've got older, I've realised that's actually helped me.
Hello everyone, I'm Mark Tuxford and welcome to my podcast, People Behind Brands. Brought to you by Making Websites Better. In each episode, I'm joined by an inspirational guest to hear more about their individual life lessons and how it shaped them into who they are today. To never miss an episode, subscribe to our exclusive content now and follow us on our social media platforms. People Behind Brands, life lessons from the world of business. On today's episode, we welcome Richard Clegg from JMS Financial Services Group. It's fair to say Richard has had a varied career, from starting out as a DJ from an early age, playing various festivals and venues, working with the likes of Tinchy Strider, Ed Sheeran, Skepta, Wiley, and many more famous names. Before moving into the world of property development and financial services, working with banks and lenders, Richard has utilised his wide range of connections from multiple industries and embraced transferable skills. Having left school at the age of 16 and dealing with a tough family life in his younger years, Richard is always willing to learn and put his heart and soul into any given project. It's a testament that Richard has degrees in marketing and finance to hone his skills further. When Richard isn't busy developing his career and hitting the next milestone, he co-parents his two children, who he helped to raise at different points in his life. He opens up about how his work ethic has impacted his personal relationships over his life. Let's hear what Richard has to say about his eventful and ambitious life.
Richard, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you doing, Mark? Good to see you.
Yeah, very well, thanks. Great to see you. Today we welcome Richard Clegg, a multiple business owner and entrepreneur. Richard is here to touch upon his life lessons from the world of business, as well as his varied career in the music industry, property and other professions he has turned his hand to over the years. So Richard, as a busy man, perhaps you can tell our listeners about your background and what you're involved in currently.
Yeah, sure. So essentially, I think it's sort of background is music. Essentially, that's where I started in, and I left school at 16 years old. I had a few GCSEs, but my main passion was DJing from the age of 14. I was a DJ, and so I really felt that was the only thing that I had really that I was passionate about, and really looking at school and the academic side wasn't going so well for me. I just focused fully on being a DJ. But I knew also being a DJ at sort of 16, I also realised that I needed to be a music producer in the underground scene. You can't just be a DJ, you need to be creating music, because that's really how you're going to really stand out and be credible in the industry. So from there, I got involved in training, and then that's when I met a band called Asian Dub Foundation, who at the time sort of around the 90s, and they were just sort of on the cusp of going into sort of mainstream. Mercury nominated bands, and then they signed with Virgin Records and EMI over here, and they asked me to sort of join up with them and be their support sort of tour DJ. So we went on tour with them, touring around the world, playing at massive festivals, venues. We were sort of on tour buses and traveling. It was really great experience being a young person at sort of 17, 18. And then alongside that as well, I'm really fully passionate. I was involved in putting on club nights and making music. So I ran a weekly in the West End for 2 years. Every Sunday down in Wardour Street, there was a club down there called Propaganda. We ran that for 2 years, which is, on a Sunday night, we had 300-400 people in there every Sunday, which was we thought was an achievement just to get people out of their bedrooms on a Sunday. And put on loads of events, sort of bigger venues, sort of Bush Empire. There's sort of clubs in London called Bagley's and Coronet, places like that, sort of 3,000 sort of capacity venues. We used to put a lot of events on, things like that. And then various other music things. I worked a bit at Universal Publishing, record labels, all sorts really. I was just really fully invested in the music industry and learning as much as I can. I think as I got older, I've realised that I'm very much quite a curious person. I like to be involved in a lot of things, understand how they work, and getting to know people, how they operate. So that's that. then from there, really, I set up one of the first internet radio stations in the UK. It was focused on sort of urban music. And we had, it was fantastic back in the day. It was pre YouTube. We had a contract with MySpace when MySpace was sort of big back in the day. But we had all, they're still on TV now. I see a lot of the artists that have gone on to, to do their thing. So I've got Riz MC. He's actually gone on to win an Oscar, I think, actually. So, we had Goldie, Ed Sheeran used to come down, Tinchy Strider. See Ashley Walters now. We used to support him loads back in the day, and he's a successful sort of TV film producer now as well. Kano, Wiley, Skepta, that side of things. Then we had, a lot of the drum and bass, a lot of the tech house. We had a lot of Defective Records that used to come and do shows, and yeah, it was really exciting.
So in terms of obviously the music industry that you was involved in, obviously, is this something that you've sort of left behind now? Is this stuff that you're still involved in? What sort of stuff what do you now profess in now?
Yeah, so essentially right now my main focus is property finance for business owners in the entertainment industry. So again, it's essentially using my network that I've previously had working with business owners and the entertainment industry, and helping them succeed with either their residential property goals, their sort of investment property goals, or commercial property goals. And I think what I found is, again, that for a lot of business owners and people in the entertainment industries, they're fantastic. They're really skilled. They've got, fantastic talent in what they do. They're either time poor or don't understand when it comes to the finance side of actually what they can do, what they can leverage to get property or investments and aspects like that. And I found that because of my network and my trust, and I could see that there was a gap there, I felt like this is the perfect place for me to be now as well. And I think still involved in the music industry, but I think as a young person, it's really exciting. You could be out till 6 a.m, get a few hours sleep, then you can go to the studio, spend all day in the studio, get another bit of sleep in the studio, then go and DJ, and that was exciting. That's fantastic. But as we all mature, our bodies aren't as able to do that, but also we've got different sort of goals, and I feel like I can still really support that industry, but I can do it in my way with my lifestyle. That works for me, in what I do, and my family as well.
Yeah, I mean, just touching upon transferable skills. So what do you think that you've learned, obviously, from your kind of younger career in the music industry to now, things like property and areas such as that? I mean, what are those sort of transferable skills that you've developed? Yeah,
so I think 100% is the sales and marketing. That's critical. I think whatever industry you go into, whatever business you're doing, you need to have, and if you're an entrepreneur, you need to have a level of sales and marketing. Whether you're a startup, you need to be able to do that to a level for yourself until you can afford to bring in a person or a team to help you with that side of things. But it's also good for you to understand those types of things, because obviously, if you haven't got income coming in, that's a fuel to your vehicle for your business. And then when you do bring people in as well, you need to understand it to a level that, when you can have some accountability in terms of, how things work, and understand what's realistic, what's not realistic. Yeah. I think on the other thing as well, I'm just thinking back my patterns of everything I've done. I've gone and trained myself in the sectors I've gone in. So for instance, back in music, I went to training. When I got into football, I studied and did my agent exam. I've done a lot of business training. When I've gone into finance, I had to go back and retrain and do a lot of exams, CMAP, and studied at the London Institute of Finance and Banking. The marketing as well. I'm a member of the Chartered Institute of Marketing. I studied with them, so I've got my sort of degree level with them. So I think it's important. You've got transferable skills, but I think transferable skills is you're curious to learn, and you're willing to learn, and you're willing to put the effort in, and knowing that you're coming out of your comfort zone. Because me moving to finance, I'd never, informally I've helped people before in what I knew, but moving into finance, I had to do a lot of training, I had to learn a lot of processes, a lot of procedures. And you're out of your comfort zone. You don't know everything, so you've got to accept that, but embrace it as well, and just feel that that's part of the journey. And it's easy for me saying it now, because there are times when it can get hard, and you feel sometimes a little bit out of your depth. But at the same time, once you get over those hurdles, on the other side, you're like, yeah, that was worth it.
Yeah.
worth it, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So if we come up to sort of current day now, in terms of what you're involved in, what's the names of the businesses, what's the types of businesses that you're involved in, and obviously the kind of professions again that you're providing?
Yeah, so essentially now it's JMS Financial Services. We're based in Liverpool Street, and as I said, you know, focused sort of, I'd say our niche area is business owners and the entertainment industry. There's a team of us there that fully understand that industry, and we know the lenders and the banks, for instance, that have more of an understanding of business owners and, you know, the challenges they have, and sort of understanding that being a business owner, you know, it's slightly different from PAYE in terms of, you know, PAYE you every month, whereas with a business owner it's a bit fluid. You know, things one month is up, one month's down. It's looking at an overall picture where the trajectory of the business is going, aspects like that. So that's what we're sort of fully focused on. And then on the sideline as well, just about to relaunch Pyro Radio, which is a TikTok sort of YouTube channel. At the moment, we're at about 60,000 followers on there, but relaunching that for the young sort of generation of sort of artists and music people in sort of London and the UK, really, give them a platform.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, again, obviously, you've been involved in a lot of different areas in your career. So, what would you say now is your kind of your mission in life, and what are you looking to get out of business?
It's interesting because I was speaking to another business owner yesterday, and she's got a distribution. She's just a startup, got a distribution company and doing really well. But I was speaking to her. I feel like the business I'm doing now is a combination of, I could see, I can work for myself, because prior to this, when I was doing a business, I was running a company that had 40 staff, and it was, you know, it was really, you know, successful. But I realised that I don't really like managing people, because I sort of feel like I'm a go-getter, and when you have to manage a lot of people, you kind of get drawn down into the day-to-day of the admin, the HR, and I'm more than capable of doing it, but it's not my strength and not what I'm passionate about. So I feel like the business I'm in now, you know, we've got admin here, but I can just get on with it. I can go to networking, I can do my social medias, I meet people, and I feel like I'm really helping business owners and entertainment industry, really helping them achieve, you know, a dream of having a property, you know, whether that's a first-time buyer to a portfolio. I feel like I can really add value there. So it fits in with my lifestyle as well, in terms of my son, because I co-parent my son and I look after him sort of 3-4 days a week. So the role gives me that flexibility to not be in an office, not having to manage staff on a day-to-day. I can literally be wherever I need to be every day, even though we've got the offices in Liverpool Street. I actually genuinely really enjoy what I do, because I've met, like yourself, Mark, you know, it's interesting people that are running businesses, trying to make things happen. And I get to do that on a daily basis. And to me, that's just, I feel like I'm sort of living the dream, you know? So
yeah. Do you think this is a role that probably suits you the most in all of the kind of roles and areas that you've had in your career?
It's funny you say it, because I feel when you're younger, I feel like you're trying to, there's an anxiety, well, for me anyway, there's an anxiety of you're trying to make your way, you're trying to understand yourself, but you're trying to make a name for yourself, or whatever that is, you know, whatever you feel in your mind that you're trying to do. But now I've got to an age where I'm happy in myself, I'm happy with what's around me, and yeah, I feel like I've actually found this role. I feel like it was meant to be. It's an odd thing to say, but it feels like it's something that happened at the right time, at the right moment. I made the right decision, and it feels like it's meant to be. So yeah, so answering your question in sort of a longer way. Yeah, absolutely, Mark. Absolutely.
Yeah, good. Yeah. So our podcast is founded upon honesty and how testing times have impacted our lives. So away from business, can you tell us about a challenging time in your personal life that made you who you are today?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind talking about it. I mean, it's I think growing up was quite a challenge. You know, we didn't have much money. There's sort of mental health and addiction in the family and stuff like that. So there's a lot of trauma sort of around the family, aspects of that, and I think that was partly why I finished school at 16. You know, I didn't do so well at school. I was, you know, I don't mind saying it, but But back then, when you look at it, when you're younger, you get a bit older, you realise, you think, life wasn't so great for me in the early years, and there's a little bit of a time where you sort of have a little bit of resentment and anger towards that. But as I've got older, I've realised that's actually helped me, because leaving school at 16 and having to make my own way, you realise that there was no one. You had to make it happen, And I think being a business owner, or I think even if you worked at an organisation and you want to add value, you've got to really get on and just make it happen.
I think if I was to explain you, and bearing in mind I've only met you properly once, but we've had a couple of chats before, I think listening to you today, I think one word to really describe you would be resilient, because it seems to me that you could have gone down the route of like, oh, poor me,
Yeah.
and all that sort of stuff, but at the end of the day, what you've done is actually turn everything around by what you've done. So you've got no handouts, anything like that. It's that if I want it, I'll go get it. And I think that really is something that you can take away from, when you look back over your life, you can take that away. So I think, full credit to you, to be fair.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark. I think, and I think that as you go through life, there are key people, and I, always check in and respect those people that have really been there for you, that have really helped and supported, and they've seen that you're trying to make something and do something, and they've supported you. So I always check back over the period of my life for those people at Christmas time, go and meet them and send some cars, and I think there are key critical people in your life as you go through it that you realise that have really helped you to get where you are.
Yeah. How do you think you deal with failure? Because it sort of seems to me that we all have moments of failure in our life, learning experiences and stuff like that. But again, it sort of seems to me that if there's a period of time, or something that doesn't go right, you do just crack on with it and try and see the best of it. So you're a glass half full type guy, I guess.
I think you're right. I think, but it's easy now when we're sitting having a podcast. When you're in the moment, it's not as easy. We've all been there. I'm not going to pretend that I haven't sometimes thought, I'm a failure, that type of stuff. I have. But I think when you have those moments, and then suddenly, okay, you pick yourself back up and get your action plan going again over time. Sometimes your life, it will take a week to get over something. Sometimes it takes 6 months. But if you get to a point where you're like, right, enough moping around, and you just get an action plan, that might take 6 months to a year. But you get that focus again. That's and you've got the cliche. I say cliche, but the sort of phrases and you see the sayings like failure is where you learn it. But it genuinely is the truth. Yeah. Is the truth of it. Because I did feel like if you went along and did everything and it was just perfect all the time, you're not really learning anything. So when you do come up against an obstacle, you're going to be your legs are going to be taken away from you, just like So I think there's a couple. I think someone said to me a while back. They said they wake up every day knowing there's going to be a problem or a challenge, and that's what they're supposed to be doing on a daily basis. Not that the day's going to go through rosily. I think that was like, you're right.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when you look back on your career, how much of an impact has your career had on your personal life? Obviously, with friends, family, and other interests you have. Obviously, I know you mentioned that you co-parent your sons. So when you think about all of those sort of things, and obviously being, from a young age involved in the music industry, being out late at night, probably not being home for a long period of time. So how has all of that affected you, but also your family?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think a couple of things. I think so. It's like you've got a different segment of friends, because I think I've got the friends that I grew up with that have known me since I was sort of 3-4 years old, all the way up to sort of 16, 18, and to this day. But I think as I've moved through industries, you kind of have friends, and it's not not being disrespectful or thing, but when you start moving into other areas, you focus on other things. So sometimes friendships sort of they don't finish, but they're not as intense as they used to be and stuff like that. So being honest, sometimes when I've moved into different industries, I've had really challenging times with people that we've had a really intense friendship, and then I've had to move away and move on. Just dealing with that type of communication and relationship side of things, all the way to personal relationships. So I've got a daughter that's 22, and I had her when I was quite young and I was fully in the music industry. And you know, looked after really well. It's like I was a young person then as well. So it's a different relationship then from my son now, where I'm a mature man, whereas I can fully see what a responsible father should be doing. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. So I wasn't responsible when I was younger, but I was a young man, you know. So you've got different thought patterns and different sort of I'd say outlook on life, you know. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, so we originally met at a Business Junction networking event, and you came up to me with an interest in being interviewed to tell your own story and experiences. So why do you feel it is important for people to have that kind of platform?
I think it's really important because sometimes on the social media you'll find it's very easy to skim through a piece of content, and someone saying, you know, whatever it is a two-day work week, or they work 20 hours a day or something. I think realistically, I think it's about longer form content. You get to know people and you get to have a bit more of a realistic view of what's achievable, and instead of just having some sensational headlines. And I think sometimes on social media people can give that perception that, you know, they'll give that sort of, this is fantastic, this is great. I think what you're offering is, and what I'm trying my best to in this podcast, is there's a realistic side as well. There's only 24 hours in a day. I would suggest you get 7-8 hours sleep a day to make sure you're fully optimum when you are working or whatever you're doing, and you're fully invested in the time you are awake. You know, aspects like that. I think it's important because I think long form you can actually get to know people, and there's more of an authentic, genuine, realistic conversation about what is achievable, you know.
I do obviously agree, and I think from our point of view it is trying to find out more about people's life lessons, because it inspires others, or hopefully it inspires others anyway, especially, you know, those that are from a younger kind of background, looking at, you know, yourself, who's had quite a varied career but made a success of it. So Richard, a little bit before we end the episode, we go into the trivia round. So we talk about some of your most favorite things in a quick fire round. So first question, favorite food?
Oh, that's I mean, these questions are tough because there's various, but I'd say crispy duck.
Nice. Yeah, lovely. Favorite alcoholic beverage?
Guinness.
Yeah. Favorite band or artist from the world of music?
I mean, you've got people like Davichi. You know, I love the EDM music, the dance music, Andy C. You know, sort of all the drum and bass stuff. So I mean, again, I'd say, you know, if I'm listening to music, it would be some sort of drum and bass stuff going on to keep me motivated.
Yeah, we've had a lot of people say that music, it kind of sort of depends on their mood, and what they want to listen to at that time, and, you know, how they're feeling really. So favorite TV program and film?
That's a tough one as well. Again, there's loads, but I'd say I do like the James Bond films, the sort of modern to the old. I kind of like the old traditional sort of British sort of stereotype thing, but I'd say that's a good series to put down. So TV
who's your favorite Bond?
That's a tough one. I'd say Sean Connery, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's classic. Favorite place in the world?
I'd have to say I've traveled quite a lot. I'd say London is my favorite place in the world.
I do think among British people, London is quite an underrated, because obviously I know we'll spend a lot of time there most of the time, but I do think it is quite an underrated place because there's so many different, what you called avenues to go down, I guess, isn't there?
That's right. I think it's only when you travel, not only, but when you travel as well, that's when you're abroad, you really start to appreciate what is available in London. It's massive, you know, compared to other cities, and what's available from food, going out, walks, entertainment, you know, or just chilling, you know. So and business as well.
Yeah. So next question. It sounds like you've probably met a few famous people during your career, but who is your favorite famous person?
Oh. Does it matter if I've met them or not?
No, just generally.
It's interesting. I think I'd say right now, someone that really interests me right now is Elon Musk. Yeah. Because of what I just think in some aspects he's a genius in terms of the rocket, Tesla, all the stuff, and then he's still got time to be on X, Twitter every day. Just I'm like, but yeah, he's someone that fascinates me at the moment. I'd say another person talking about podcasts as well is definitely someone like Joe Rogan, not just because of his podcast, but him listening to him and what he's. I mean, it's fascinating to me that he's involved in the podcast, but he's also involved in the MMA and also is a comedian. But when you listen to him as well, he's very honest, but he's very disciplined as well. He's I aspire to people like that. He just fascinates me.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think those two examples you've given are something that I think you align to, because they've done a lot of things in their career, and as have you. So yeah, it doesn't sort of surprise me that those two do come up in your mind. Biggest pet peeve?
I'd say biggest pet peeve at the moment is, I'd say it's funny you say this, but it's like when you're on a straight road. It's a 60 mile an hour national speed limit road, and someone's doing 30 or 35. Drives me mad. But
Do you know what? I think a lot of people have said with their biggest pet peeves is down to motoring sort of stuff, really, or driving. Any superstitions?
I wouldn't say I'm superstitious, but I do believe that there's a consciousness in this world, and there's a universal hidden aspect that we can't see that brings people together, and there's a connection there. But that's sort of, some people call that superstitious, but I'd call it just something I believe in, I suppose.
Favorite memory of your life?
That's a good question. I don't want to take up too much time thinking about it. There's been some really, really fantastic highlights, for instance, from just achieving to be playing at a festival or a stage, and just thinking, wow, I'm actually doing this. Done it in several industries. Actually getting to meet the Queen, invited to meet the Queen. That was Palace. That was a special moment. And I'd say there's a few others, but yeah, they're sort of big moments.
Yeah, last question. 3 guests you would invite to a dinner party?
I think I've said 2 of them already. The third one, who would that be? That's a tough one. Who would that be? It'd probably be someone like Alex Ferguson or Arsene Wenger or someone like that. Just to get those insights. That sort of that's a good era of football, I felt. So
yeah, it was. Obviously would make for a very good dinner party. Yeah, Richard, look, it's been a real pleasure to have you on today's episode. Hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. But just to finish, perhaps you'd like to tell everyone where our listeners can find you and how they can benefit from your service.
Well, thanks a lot, Mark, for inviting me onto the podcast. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And I've got TikTok and Instagram, and that's mortgages.mentor. You can check me out there. On LinkedIn as well, Richard Clegg. You can find me there. Feel free to message or connect. It'd be great to hear from you. So thanks again, Mark.
So that's it for this episode of People Behind Brands. If you like what you heard today, do yourself a favour. Subscribe to our exclusive content now, and follow us on our social media when you search People Behind Brands Podcast or at Podcast PBB. Join us next time for a brand new guest as we explore more life lessons from the world of business. We'll see you soon. Ta-da!